More on what's happening in Pennsylvania and other states when it comes to the investigation into the massive amount of voter fraud. I'm joined by Pennsylvania Congressman representing the 12th District, Fred Keller. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Dan. Thank you for having me.
So one of the main reasons when my team and I were discussing who we wanted to get on to discuss what's happening in Pennsylvania, but pretty much in all these battleground states where we keep seeing hundreds of witnesses coming forward, signing affidavits, which is just like swearing under oath. I'm tired of hearing the left saying these people aren't telling the truth. You were one of, 39 members of Congress that signed Congressman Dan Crenshaw's letter urging the Department of Justice and the AG to get involved. Why'd you do that, sir?
We did it because, actually following up on a letter from earlier, but we didn't see enough going forward to make sure that the cases were heard, the evidence was investigated. We're not rooting for an outcome here. What we're saying is that the foundation of our republic rests on secure elections, making sure that every legal vote is counted. Every vote that is not cast within the parameters of the law is not counted. And we didn't see that happening. So we felt it was very necessary to send that letter out and get the Justice Department off their behinds and get them moving.
Yeah. Now, this week has been dominated mostly by Michigan and Georgia. We saw what's happening in Nevada. We're going to touch on that in a second, in Arizona. And we didn't hear tons about Pennsylvania except for your Supreme Court shooting it down. What are the state level GOP lawmakers doing? And are they doing it in kind of coordination with you guys at the federal level to make sure this continues to go up the chain? Because it seems like everything in Pennsylvania just keeps getting shot down, one after another. But then we hear these affidavits. We're seeing evidence. We heard from the truck driver this week who said he took hundreds of thousands of ballots from New York into your state.
Well, the first thing I think we have to look at is what people have said. You know, first they said there's no voter fraud, then they said there's no widespread voter fraud. Now we're down to there's not enough to change the outcome of the election. Any voter fraud is not acceptable. So let's first start there. How much there is, we don't know until the merits of these cases are heard and the investigations happen. We need to make sure that happens. And if you look at the places where it's alleged these things happen, look at their past history. Philadelphia, Allegheny County, but Philadelphia County, they've had people prosecuted for voter fraud since probably before I was born, but I know growing up, you always knew that they had elections in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I lived in Manayunk back in 99 and 2000, and I can tell you, and I did local news there in Philly, that's all we heard about was voter corruption in the mayoral races, in the state Senate and legislature races. That was 21 years ago. It's been happening for decades.
And I don't think anything's gotten any better. So we need to hear the merits of these cases, not rooting for an outcome. Even if I was Joe Biden or any Democrat, I'd want to make sure that the election was held properly. That's what we do as American patriots. That's what our veterans fought for, our freedom to determine who our government is or define our government, not to have people steal it or try to. And we need to get to the bottom of whether that did or didn't happen.
Congressman, we can stand up here and say, yeah, it'd be nice. This is for everyone in the Republic, but let's be real. The winner's not going to call for a full investigation. If he believes he's the winner and it took cheating, which I firmly believe it did at all kinds of levels, from Dominion software down to the poll worker that was biased sitting there counting them and sending them in the machines, why in the heck would you bring it up? I won. He thinks he's the president-elect.
But Dan, if I was the winner and I didn't cheat, I would want to shine a light on that.
You're a good man.
Look at how I did it. I got asked that question. They said, well, suppose somebody brought it up. I said, investigate it. Investigate it. I didn't cheat.
Let's talk about that letter that you guys sent up to the AG. He's been, Mr. Barr, in the news this week. The president, of course, when he was trying to give a wonderful award to an amazing coach, Lou Holtz, reporters, of course, have to ruin the moment, go after the jugular and try to get Barr and Trump fighting each other. Any response from the Attorney General's office after that letter was sent? And if so, what was it?
Well, we didn't get a letter back or anything. I know there were some things that happened that day. We sent the letter. The AG came out and said there was no widespread fraud. And then he came out and later clarified that and said, well, there's some investigations and we're looking at things. Let's figure out what it is. We don't have a lot of time to do this. Let's get off the dime. Let's get it moving and let's figure it out. And at the end of the day, then we will know what happened. We all want to know that. And to the point we made earlier, the only people that would not want to know that is if they know they didn't do it honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you don't hear anybody on the left speaking up for voter integrity and trying to restore confidence in the American public. It's pretty sad. Congressman Keller, they're giving me the hard rap. It's a weekend. You probably want to go enjoy your family. Do me a solid. Stay in touch with my staff. Let us know what's happening in Pennsylvania, because that was one of the first states that kicked it all off. We had heard, several 100,000 ballots may be invalidated. It appears like it's going to have to go all the way to the Supreme Court for your state's case, is what I'm looking at, because they're not getting anything done in the state legislature or your state Supreme Court. That's my feeling.
Well, the state Supreme Court is 5-2 Democrat, right behind our liberal governor.
Yeah.
So they aren't doing anything to rule against the governor. I think the General Assembly is doing everything they can. We will work with them. We'll do everything that we can, not to root for an outcome, and I want to be clear of that, but to make sure that we have integrity in our elections. Every legal vote counts. Every vote that wasn't cast within the law is not counted, because that really harms the confidence in our elections.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. You're a politician. It's a good soundbite to say that, but I appreciate that you're saying, look, we're not trying to be a Trump cheerleader over here, and we know 100% for sure he won, because we don't know that yet. But when you look at all the fraud happening, we have to get to the bottom of it in every one of these states it's in question, and I actually firmly believe it's more than 5 or 6 states, because if you look at the software down, and you see these videos now that are coming out and the eyewitness statements, you had folks running these count centers who were on the left, and whether they were directed to or they just took it upon themselves, by golly, they wanted to make sure President Trump didn't win. I think we've got it from the local level all the way to the top. Congressman Keller, thank you for joining Real America. We appreciate it.